Deep beneath the ocean, light cannot reach. A giant black shadow moves in silence. The sperm whale. There, it is not the only one. Sharks, other predators, all coexisting in the darkness. There is no warning, no safe distance, just one encounter. And everything can spiral out of control. So what really happens when these giant predators clash at the bottom of the ocean? Megalodon shark versus sperm whale. The silent ocean is not a peaceful kingdom, but a place where predatory machines with bite forces of tens of thousands of psi hide in the darkness, waiting for an opportunity. In the deep depths, the supershark Megalodon is gliding along, sharing this sea with an equally massive creature, the sperm whale. The sperm whale can use its giant head like a sledgehammer to ram straight into the megalodon's belly, the softest part of the shark. Additionally, its lower jaw has teeth as hard as steel to counterattack. But the megalodon possesses the strongest bite force in natural history, around 108,000 to 182,000 newtons. Its jaws can crush a whale's skull or ribs in just a single bite. On one side is a set of deadly jaws that can crush a truck. On the other is the smartest brain in the ocean with a terrifying sonic weapon. Although the megalodon is extinct, scientists have relied on fossils to simulate this battle. The giant size and pack strength of the sperm whale turn it into an impenetrable fortress. But when reduced to solitary individuals, can it survive safely at the bottom of the ocean? At the bottom of the silent ocean, a massive block hovers amidst the deep blue water. That is a giant sperm whale. Around it, black shadows cleave the water swimming about. The megalodons are slowly narrowing the encirclement. The sperm whale's body bears countless scars of time. It moves extremely slowly and tiredly. Taking advantage of this weakness, the predatory machines with hundreds of sharp triangular serrated teeth charge straight in to close the distance, signaling a fierce massacre. However, the sperm whale's secret weapon is its sonar system. It can emit sound pulses up to 230 decibels, enough to stun, cause pain, or rupture the eardrums of those who want to approach it. Fighting all alone, the sperm whale decides to proactively attack. But this quickly becomes a fatal mistake. The Megalodon pack does not let this go. The great body mass slowly sinks completely down to the coral reef, becoming a giant feast for the shark pack in the deep seabed. Livyatan versus Megalodon. This is a true battle between two monsters of the same era, the same size, and competing for the top position of the food chain in the Miocene Ocean. Two symbols of power beneath the ocean are moving to forage, the Livyatan tails closely behind the Megalodon pack ahead. Considered a prehistoric ocean monster, the Livyatan hunted larger and more ferocious prey than the sperm whale. The Livyatan does not rush to attack. It is waiting for the right moment when solitary individuals lose their pack advantage. The attack quickly aims at a small prey. Possessing the largest teeth ever recorded, up to 36 centimeters long and 12 centimeters in diameter, Livyatan became a terror to the giant predators of the ocean. Sperm whale versus giant squid. Possessing thousands of sharp serrated suction cups, the giant squid is capable of tearing the flesh of any tailing pursuer. At a depth where light cannot reach, the giant eyes of the squid help them clearly see every movement of the sea, but fail to sense a giant predator approaching from afar. No matter how strong the attacking weapons are, most will be outmatched by superior size. And the recent attack is exactly an example.
The squid fights back by using its tentacles to constrict the enemy's head, making an effort to inflict damage on the massive foe. But that is completely useless against the sperm whale.
Sperm whale versus orca. The giant size of the sperm whale is usually the most solid shield against all enemies in the ocean. But when facing the besieging pack tactics of orcas, a young individual becomes a fatal weakness, forcing the giants to establish a life-or-death defensive line. Perceiving the threat, the sperm whale pod immediately sets up a defensive circle. They point their heads toward the center to protect the young, exposing their muscular tails outward. Waiting for the sperm whales to move deeper, the orcas immediately tail behind. Avoiding the overly thick body blubber, the predator lunges in and bites into the tail flukes to neutralize the victim's propulsion and navigation ability. Despite the injuries, the The sperm whale pod quickly gathers to shield each other. The re-established sturdiness forces the orca pod to swim away. Orca versus seal. The superior intelligence of the orca does not only lie in muscular strength, but in the ability to understand and manipulate the physical principles of water currents. When the floating ice block seems to be the seal's last safe fortress, it becomes the focal point of a hydrodynamic attack calculated without missing a beat. Amidst the freezing waters of Antarctica, giant black backs silently pierce through the sea surface. On the tiny iceberg, 3 seals are seeking a resting place, but perhaps this time they will have to be much more active. The hunters gradually rise above the water surface and identify the target. Thanks to specially structured corneas helping to maintain perfect vision in both environments, the predator easily locks onto the seal's position. The prey panics but has no way to retreat. The assassin pod swims in parallel, then simultaneously sweeps their tails, converting kinetic energy into an artificial wave carrying massive pressure that sweeps the seals off their shelter. But the agility of the little ones has truly brought out their strength. Taking refuge on an iceberg seems to be the safest way to separate from the dorsal fins parting the waves below. However, to a pod of orcas, that silent ice surface is merely a fragile obstacle waiting to be crushed. Orcas are considered one of the smartest species on the planet, on par with dolphins and close to primates. The upward gazes do not only locate the prey, but also represent a great deal of strategic calculation being formed. The next attack wave creates a wall of water crashing down on the ice surface. The seal loses its balance, swept straight down into the hunter's jaws by the churning water. The encirclement immediately tightens. Air bubbles rise white across the sea surface, marking the swift end of the hunt. Gray whale versus orca. The giant size and thick blubber layer of the gray whale are inherently an impenetrable shield against most ocean enemies. But when young individuals face the calculated besieging and drowning tactics of the orca pod, that biological defensive layer is gradually cracking. The assassin pod surrounds the gray whale mother and calf. They wisely ignore the mother, focusing all their force on the young target. Weighing tens of tons but lacking counterattacking weapons, the mother whale gradually becomes helpless against the too perfect pack tactics. They take turns gliding past, pressing down on the top of the victim's head to block the blowhole. For marine mammals, having their breathing rhythm continuously obstructed is more brutal than any bite. The young gray whale seems to be exhausting under the continuous grip. Despite trying to move forward, it is continuously pressed down and submerged into the deep water by the assassin pod. What you have just watched shows that in the world of predators at the bottom of the ocean, size or strength is not always an absolute advantage. And just a disadvantageous moment is enough for everything to reverse in an uncontrollable way. Every encounter harbors risks, where the predator can also become the prey. If you find this video fascinating, hit like, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to continue exploring many other dramatic wild moments. Thank you for watching until the end. See you again in the next video.